The Dragonback series by Timothy Zahn. Book 3, Dragon and Slave. Chapter 2. The Penance Regional Spaceport was confusingly laid out, overloaded with paperwork pushers, and just plain badly run. It was also staffed entirely by Brumgas, which, in Jack's opinion, was another way of saying the same thing. The big, white aliens had a reputation across the Orion Arm for being as strong as giant oaks and just about as smart. But for all that, he found himself breezing through the entry procedure in remarkably quick time. Even more surprising, his hiker's backpack with its load of disguised burglar tools didn't even rate a second look. Perhaps, he thought, a spaceport located near a major slave dealer had learned not to look too closely at visitors or their luggage. Night had already wrapped the sky in stars as he pushed through the double doors, which were supposed to open automatically, but didn't, and stepped out onto Brummagem soil. "Another day, another dust ball," he quoted the old saying, taking a careful sniff of the air. Every world he'd discovered over the years had its own unique set of aromas. Most of the combinations, in his humble opinion, stunk. Brummagem was no different, but he'd smelled worse. Just outside the spaceport building was a small parking lot. Beyond that was a street with a luminescent walkway running along its edge. The road itself was humming with vehicles, and there was enough pedestrians that Jack didn't feel too conspicuous. He walked another 10 minutes before deciding he was alone enough to risk checking in. "Uncle Verge," he murmured toward his left shoulder. "You there?"
"Where else would I be?"
The computer's voice grumbled from the comm clip fastened to his jacket collar. "Have you got a mark or haven't you?" Jack asked, ignoring the sarcasm. Uncle Verge always got crabby when Jack was about to do something he didn't like. "Come on, I don't want to stay out on this rock any longer than I have to."
"The chief gatekeeper has a house facing the main gate,"
Uncle Verge said reluctantly.
2 stories, lime green with purple trim. A popular color combination here, unfortunately.
"Don't be snobbish," Jack said. "Any other possibilities?"
"A few, but he's definitely your best bet,"
Uncle Verge said.
"Certainly, he's the most likely to have access codes stashed away at home."
And because of that, he would also probably have the best security system in town. A definite challenge, even for someone with Jack's training and experience. "Sounds good," he said, trying to hide his own misgivings about this whole thing. "What about a high-level family official?"
"We've got 2 possibilities on that one,"
Uncle Verge said.
First is a Brumga named Crampatch. He's chief steward, in charge of most of the household operations. Second choice is Gazin, a man in charge of the slaves themselves.
"The man?"
Draco spoke up with from his usual place on Jack's right shoulder.
"Do you mean a human male?"
"Isn't he clever?" Uncle Verge said with a sniff. "Those language lessons are really paying off."
Dracos's head rose off of Jack's skin, his snout bulging against the shirt and pocket as he shifted to his two-dimensional form, to full 3D. His tongue flicked out toward the comm clip. "Knock it off, Uncle Verge," Jack said quickly. The Kada was under enough pressure without Uncle Verge going out of his way to irritate him. How was he supposed to know the Chukuk's family had non-Brumga employees?
"Even Brumgas are smart enough to know they need help with a business this big,"
Uncle Verge muttered. "Good thing, too," Jack said. The sewer rat tricks Uncle Virgil had taught him for sneaking into other people's computers probably wouldn't work on Brumga-designed systems. But with a human in charge of the slaves, there should be at least a couple of human-designed computers around to keep track of the paperwork. Jack could only hope that those same computers also kept track of the Chukuk family's brisk trade in Brumga soldiers for hire. "So which one do we want?" he asked Uncle Virgil. "Crampatch or Gazin?"
There was a sound
that might have been a sigh of resignation.
"Gazin," the computer said. "Crampatch might not be smart enough to follow the logic we're going to present him."
"Fine," Jack said. "You ready to go into your buffalo shuffle?"
Maybe we should let you get a little closer first, Uncle Verge hedged. We don't want to give him too much time to think.
We don't want to give him a last-minute panic either, Jack pointed out. Do it now. Over the evening breeze, he heard another sigh.
Whatever you say,
The computer voice said.
Here goes.
There was a series of soft clicks as he keyed the number. Jack continued walking, wondering if the Brumadum phone system would be as badly run as the spaceport equipment had been. Apparently, the Brumgas had imported their phone experts, too. There was one final click.
Yeah, talk to me,
A human voice answered. Jack caught his breath, his mind flashing back to his encounter nearly 2 months ago aboard the Advocatus Diabli. The man who had ordered him to steal a metal cylinder from the Starliner Star of Wonder had a snake-like voice very much like this one. Could it be the same man? On his shoulder, Dracos hissed softly.
It is not him,
he murmured. Carefully, Jack let out his breath. No, it wasn't Snake Voice. But even the dragon had noticed enough similarities to wonder about it. Or maybe it was just the personality of the man behind the voice that was coming through. A man, like Snake Voice, who cared about nothing and no one except himself.
My name is Virgil, Mr. Gazin,
Uncle Verge said.
I called to offer you a deal on a very special slave.
There was a brief pause.
How did you get this number?
Gazin demanded.
Oh, I'm something of an expert at digging out confidential information,
Uncle Verge said smoothly.
As is my partner. My former partner, I should say.
What you should say is goodbye,
Gazin said, his dark voice going even darker.
You've got 3 seconds to explain why I shouldn't track this call and have some Chakuk family enforcers show you why playing phone tricks on me is a really bad idea.
By all means, go ahead and send them,
Uncle Verge said.
Just make sure they're bringing money. As I said, I'm offering you a deal on a very special slave, an expert thief and safecracker.
Gazin snorted. Sorry, I only deal in land and household slaves.
And mercenaries, Uncle Verge reminded him. Brumgan soldiers for hire.
There was another short pause.
So which merc group are you contracted with?
Gazin said.
None of them,
Uncle Verge said.
But it occurred to me that a man who deals in hired guns might also be able to find a home for a boy of Jack McCoy's skills.
A boy?
Only 14, but already one of the best in the business, Uncle Verge boasted. I trained him myself.
And you are the best, I suppose,
Gazin said sarcastically.
Of course.
For a moment, the line was silent. Jack kept walking, staring out into the crisscross of muted streetlights marking his way. Gazin was hovering over the bait, eyeing it and wondering if it was worth a taste. If he decided it was, they were in. If he decided it wasn't, Jack was going to be toast, jelly side down.
And I'm supposed to take your word for all this,
Gazin said at last.
Not at all,
Uncle Verge assured him.
I've arranged a demonstration.
Really? What sort?
Our chief gatekeeper has a house across from the Chakuk estate,
Uncle Verge explained.
I've sent Jack to burgle it.
And what exactly did he steal?
Nothing yet,
Uncle Verge said.
I assumed you'd want to watch him in action before we discussed price.
If he's as good as you say, why are you dumping him?
Because he's getting too old for what I need,
Uncle Verge said.
I like to work against people's assumptions. You see, a 10-year-old kid walk into a millionaire's mansion, you don't expect him to be casing the place. By the time he hits 15, though, people start paying attention.
So you've decided to sell him?
Like you, I'm a businessman,
Uncle Verge said.
I spent a lot of time and effort training this kid. Why not get all I can out of my investment?
Why not indeed?
Gazin said dryly.
All right, I'll play along. I assume I don't have to tell you what'll happen if I find out you've been running a scam here.
Not at all,
Uncle Verge said.
In fact, I believe your enforcers are already gathering outside my landing bay.
Excellent,
Gazin said with satisfaction.
Brumgas are as dumb as dirt soup, but they're efficient enough for the things that matter. Where's the boy now?
Now approaching the gatekeeper's house from the direction of the spaceport,
Uncle Verge said.
But he's still at least half an hour away. Plenty of time for you to set up observers.
His instructions?
To find the access codes for getting into the Chukuk estate.
There was a long, stiff silence. Gazin said at last, his voice suddenly silky smooth.
What for?
As I told you, a demonstration,
Uncle Verge said.
You sure you didn't have anything else in mind?
Gazin asked. His voice was still smooth, only now it was the smoothness of a bed of quicksand.
Like maybe selling any codes he happens to find?
If I wanted to do that, would I have called you up in advance?
Not unless you were stupid,
Gazin conceded, but the darkness was still in his voice.
What do you want for the boy?
Let's make it sporting,
Uncle Verge suggested.
50,000 azures plus 10 for every minute less than half an hour that it takes him to get through the house alarms, find the gatekeeper's safe, and crack it. What do you say?
Fine,
Gazin said.
Let's see how he does.
Excellent,
Uncle Verge said.
I'll be in touch.
There was a double click and the connection went dead.
It appears to be working,
Dracos commented. So far, anyway, Jack said, grimacing into the darkness. Let's try not to disappoint him.